Good morning, traders. This is Bob Haberkorn, Kevin Craney, Jeff Friedman, and John Caruso coming to you here from RJO Futures on Wednesday, October 31st, Halloween, to talk about the numbers that come out Friday morning at 7:30, the monthly jobless claims here. They're expecting the number to come out around 125,000 with the rate going up to 7.9%. We'll see how that comes out, but we'll probably have some activity considering this week what we've seen with the stock market down for the last 2 days. Do have the presidential election next Tuesday, so we'll see how it plays out here with the markets. You know, looking first here, Kevin's thinks. What do you think about the bond market here, and how it's going to react with the numbers Friday?
Yeah, you know, I don't think we're going to see a big reaction from these numbers. Everybody really pretty much has their perception of the economy already. I think these numbers really are going to come in more mediocre than anything. Probably hit the target. I think it's going to take a big number as a miss or as a big surprise to really move the needle on interest rates at this point. You know, I think we just kind of have to take a wait and see approach through these numbers and what happens through the election.
Yeah, especially what's coming Tuesday. The numbers, they come out in line. They come out. I think the only thing you're really going to get a big reaction on this number is if they miss. They come out lower than 125,000. What was it last month? 114.
114.
You know, with the election Tuesday, not. You know, I don't look at this as being as big of a monthly number as you typically see. Jeff, what about you? What are you seeing with stocks?
We've been in a big range, but a range nevertheless. And even with the announcement of QE3 and open-ended on their financing and kind of a downtick, breaking the 8% of non-farm payroll last month, we still are stuck in that range. I mean, looking at the December future and S&Ps, I mean, 1392, 1390 has held. We were as high as 2 weeks ago around 1460. That's your big range. No matter what happens, no matter what the numbers are, in my opinion, we'll probably stay in that range. It would take a huge number, a negative number, loss of jobs, or 300,000, in my opinion, to really break us out. We're at the lower end of the range, so if it's a great number, 300,000 creation of jobs, then maybe we could surpass the 1460. But because we're at the lower end, you know, we have a lot of distance. If it's a bad number, unless it's a negative number and we lost jobs, I think really 1390 is going to hold because of what you guys probably agree with, is the presidential election.
Right.
Remember, a presidential election once every 4 years, non-farm payroll once a month. So I agree. Again, I think that everybody has their attitudes already pegged for the economy. How will the election play out for the stock market? Well, there's a lot of different opinions, and we can talk about that at a later date. But I do think that we'll probably be still stuck in a range. I do think that if the Republicans do win, and I'm not saying good or bad, I think that the marketplace perceives that as more inducive to buying power, meaning you know, we might not be aggressive with QE3, but they might be a little more aggressive with a tax benefit to corporate America, less restrictions in trade, and that kind of thing. So it could be a bigger plus, but to tell you the truth, I think that we're contained in the trading range. No doubt.
I agree, because regardless, I mean, everyone's focused on the election, and you know, like you touched on, you can go back and forth on who wins, how it's going to play out. You know, it would be interesting to see, because the horizon is with what is, if it's a Romney win, what happens with the Fed? Do they go back to a more
the general outlook
tighter monetary
policy? The general
policy?
Outlook is that the Republicans don't have a very friendly outlook on the Federal Reserve and their stimulus packages that they've been providing for the economy. So I think it's going to be a toss-up as to, you know, how the economy and the market specifically reacts to the election. I think,
What about the job number?
looking at
with
the
currencies?
unemployment number, I think you expect a very vanilla number coming into Friday. I think we're going to see everything kind of hit their targets. 125,000 jobs created, 7.9% on the rate. And I think it's going to be pretty much a non-event, like Kevin had mentioned. I think it's all eyes next week on the presidential elections, and I think regardless, you expect a lot of turmoil, a lot of volatility going into the elections on Tuesday.
One additional comment on the employment report, and I think it's important to look at that last month's numbers and see if there are any revisions. There was a lot of chatter about that number that came out, and specifically about the unemployment rate dropping below 8%, about some seasonal adjustments that could come in. And I think probably the most important part about a monthly unemployment report is how they take the data. There's usually a big standard deviation of error there. There's always room for revisions. We always see the BLS coming back in and revising those numbers, and so that's something to pay attention to. This just gives us a snapshot in time of where employment was for the month, and that's another reason I think this is just going to be, like you said, a really vanilla report coming into what is a bigger lead up to next Tuesday in the presidential election.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general consensus across the board that the number, while it is important on Friday morning, you probably are going to see more weight put on what's going to happen to the outcome of Tuesday's election. So, keep an eye, watch it. Definitely will have some movement in the market if it's a big number, being a build of 300, 200, 180. You probably would see some good upside in the markets. If it's a drawdown below that 125, below 114, like it came out last month, and like Kevin touched on, keep an eye on the revisions from last month to see what happens there. But I think we're kind of the consensus too, like I said earlier, that we're not expected too much more so on the election. Remember, traders, if trading poses significant risk, futures trading is not suitable for all investors. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact any of us here to talk more about the number or what we look at coming up here in the markets over the next few days. And good trading. Have a happy Halloween, and we'll see where we come out here on Friday.